Good day and welcome to another week of A Week at the Plot. And it's Monday afternoon and I hadn't expected really to be down here today, but a few things have changed in my day and I've moved a couple of things from later in the week forward to today. However, I was still left with an hour and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get down to the plot and do a specific job. And that specific job sort of carries on from a job I did yesterday, Sunday. So last week's A Week at the Plot, even though it wasn't in the upload. So what I did is I looked at that bed by the quince tree, our neighbour's quince tree. I've left it. My fault, I've left it. But I decided that I wanted another perennial bed. And this time the perennial bed is going to be a perennial herb bed. And I thought, you know what, it would be quite sensible to do it there because it gets a decent amount of sun, yet it also gets shade from the quince. And it's a bed which I haven't used this year, as I haven't used quite a few of the beds. So putting in a perennial bed seems sensible, and because we do a lot of cooking and we use quite a few herbs, it would be nice to have our own herb bed down here. Now we already have some herbs, so we've got a couple of herbs in front of us. We've got thyme and oregano stroke marjoram in front of us in the shed here. There's sage in a pot. There's feverfew, which isn't necessarily used as a culinary, but it is used as a medicinal herb. And we've got mint in one area. Of course you need to contain mint, so if I'm going to do that, I think I'm going to put it in a pot above ground. And I thought, you know what, yeah, do a herb bed. It will also take out some of the work that you need to do on a regular basis, because if the bed is planted up as a perennial herb bed, hopefully it will just be about weeding and harvesting and cutting back. So I thought that was sensible. So yesterday, Sunday, I got on with clearing that bed, which I had left unmaintained for a while. Let's skip back in time to yesterday. So there we are. I have tidied that bed. As I was tidying that bed, I was looking across the top of the plot and I saw the bed underneath the apple tree. And I thought to myself, you know what, Paul, that is a far better place to have the herb bed than in this bed here by the quince tree. The reason being is the apple tree, it takes up an awful lot of moisture from the ground. It needs a lot of water, and that bed there is generally dry. We've had courgettes there in the past and we've watered them every day because it needed watering every day. And many of the herbs that we're going to be doing are drought tolerant, or dry tolerant at least. So I thought, you know what, do it there instead. And that is what I've decided to do. But first off, I need to clear that bed. It was covered in cardboard in the autumn, and then various things were put on top and stored. And there is actually a table frame in here, a metal table frame you can just see here, which I've got the top of at home, and Richard and I are going to be bringing that down on Friday. I think the table will go over here. It's quite a big table, so a lot of plants will be able to go on it. And I've just used this as a sort of dump ground, really. It's things that I've wanted to keep, but it's also things that maybe when I do sort through them, I'll get rid of a few things. And now I'm here, I'm also remembering, I don't think most people will know this because I think I only said this on coffee. I found as I was coming down to the allotment a week or so ago, this earthenware bowl, and I think this would be really good to have as a watering station for bees and other pollinators, basically copying what Vivi had in her own herb bed in her garden. It's funny because I did put a call out to the world that I mean mentally, that I was looking for an earthenware saucer like this. I mean, it's big, it's a foot or maybe even 13 inches 14 inches across and 2 inches deep, so it's quite big. So I put a thought that I would like one out into the ether, and then the following day I'm coming down to the allotment and I see this on a neighbour's wall. I did knock on the door because it's such a good one. I thought surely they can't be giving that away, but I did knock, and sure enough they were. So yeah, that's good, that's good. So first off, I'm just going to clear this bed and then we'll see what's underneath. As I thought, there's quite a few ants' nests, and they're red ants' nests. So I've put the cardboard over here, and then can you see that nest there? There's a smaller one here as well, but yeah, as expected, plenty of ants. Look at them here. Thousands, and not unexpected, slugs. Look at them. Slugs and snails in significant numbers. Yeah. Gosh, look at the ants. Can you see them over there? I mean, they're all sort of moving their eggs now. That's what they're doing. But you know what? They're going to have to move somewhere else because I don't want them here. It's really quite gusty today. I mean, it's a lovely day. When the sun is out, it's gloriously warm. When the sun is behind the clouds, it's rather cool. But that breeze, when the sun is out and that breeze is coming across the plot, it's absolutely delightful. It really, really, really is. Yeah, that's rather a beautiful shot. Yeah, I think that is. And I was noticing before the bees, particularly honeybees, dancing on the marjoram that we've got just to the right. You can just see it in the middle of the picture on the right there. The bees are just bouncing with this breeze, and there's a couple of butterflies there as well, which is absolutely lovely. In fact, from last week where I was saying there seems to be very, very few butterflies, I'm noticing a significant improvement in them this week, or in their numbers this week, which is absolutely lovely. But yeah, I've uncovered that bed now. I'm not going to do anything else with that bed today. I'll let those red ants do what they want to do, which is move somewhere else. and I will have a look at that bed again in a few days' time. But I think it's far more sensible to have a water station for bees and pollinators there and herbs around it than put them in the bed by the quince. It just makes much more sense. It's not a perfect bed in terms of moisture retention because of the big roots of the apple tree and how thirsty that apple tree is. And on the apple tree, it is being watered on a regular basis at the moment. I'm giving it a watering can of water every couple of days. So it's getting a little extra water, which I think is good. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. And I'm just going to sit here and look at this view because I think it's rather lovely. See you very soon. Bye. Oh, look, can you see that plane going over the rooftops? Can you see it? Ooh, plane going into Heathrow. Bye. Good day. It's Saturday morning. I'm going to spend a couple of hours down here. It's all going to be cutting back and tidying. I'll be doing some propagation of the Santolina and some sage, maybe later on or maybe tomorrow. But this morning I'm just concentrating on tidying. And also realizing that I am now working really towards the next growing year. I mentioned this last week, I think, but it's really come home to roost this week when I've been doing stuff. And that's why I'm not going to be sort of showing you much that I'm doing today, because it's all about tidying, which you've seen me do before. I have strimmed and I've raked and I've cut a few things back, and I've now decided that all of the bits that I strim are going into our perennial weed compost bin, and that is because the Cinquefoil is really spreading, and it's most probably spreading because of the strimming. It's even more voracious than bindweed in rooting itself somewhere else and spreading. So yeah, and then I got a little bit thirsty, so I got my flask outside, and I got a little bit hungry because I hadn't brought down any crackers, so I'm munching on one of the Chioggia. One of the Chioggia beetroot. Look at that, isn't that fantastic? That had been nibbled by a slug, so I thought I won't take that home because, oh, there's a rather big military aircraft there. Must be going into Northfields. There's an airport which is used quite a lot for private jets for filming and that type of thing, bringing celebrities in. But that is definitely, oh no, it's turning. Big military plane. Did I say jet? No, military plane. Anyway, yes, Chioggia, just rather enjoying it. I thought I wouldn't take it home because if Richard sees that a slug or a snail has nibbled a chunk out of a carrot or a beetroot or something like that. No. I need to hide those things and prepare them before he sees them. So yeah. But the prevalence of Cinquefoil, I think it's going to be an issue for the future on this plot. And even though I love my grass paths, I'm thinking maybe now is the time to move over. I want to definitely keep this path grass if I can in front of the shed. I mean, I'd love to keep those paths between those beds all grass, but I'm not sure whether it's practical. And now that I'm thinking about the edge bed up here, I know I won't be able to edge a bed in any way as well as Vivi did at her garden. And I'm wondering whether Woodchip might be better on that side. So keeping the sort of main paths, if you like, grass, but then putting Woodchip down on the paths that are between beds. That's what I'm thinking. And the front is going to be a perennial bed of shrubs and flowers, and that is going to be a Woodchip topped bed. So maybe in some ways it ties things together, because that Cinquefoil is just going to creep and creep and creep. It really is proliferating. Anyway, that's for me to mull and think about. Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. I'm going to finish off my Chioggia beetroot, and I'll see you again either later or most likely tomorrow morning. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. I know I've shown you this before, but here's our lavender, or one of our lavender. You can see, hopefully, there's loads of bumblebees on the lavender. If we come over to this one, look at that one hanging there. Bumblebees, loads of them. Well, a good many of them. Then we come on to the ragwort. The ragwort has got honeybees on it and a couple of one bumblebee. There was a bumblebee at the back there that decided to go onto the lavender. And then we come over here next to one of our very unkempt beds. This is our marjoram, which is alive. Hopefully you can see, with honeybees and butterflies. There's a resting butterfly there, you can see one in there. And then we come over to the lavender again, and again it's bumblebees. This lavender's a bit older, so he's going over quicker than the other one. But it just goes to show how having an assortment of flowers on your plot, some will be preferred by certain pollinators and some by others. Certainly in the case of butterflies and honeybees, they prefer this marjoram. Yet in the case of bumblebees, they prefer the lavender. In terms of, step over here. The cardoon, which is quite quiet at the moment. What you can see here, maybe, it's bumblebees at the moment. Though we did have a picture of one being completely overwhelmed by a bumblebee last year or the year before. But I'm just glad to see that there's more pollinators than last week. Not as many as last year. Oh look, here's a bumblebee. If I can get over here in this one. Can you see that there? Anyway, it fascinates me how obvious it is on this plot what pollinator prefers what. The dark buddleia up there I cut back yesterday, or I cut off the dead heads. Anyway, we're going to go up there now because I want to harvest some potatoes. This is where we put in our Charlotte potatoes, and where you can see I haven't weeded, even though I should, our asparagus. But I'm not here to beat myself up about that. Our potatoes have largely died back. The ones on the right are still going, but you can see here, potato leaf. There's a potato under there. There's another one under there. So I think I'm going to dig those two up and see if we've got anything underneath. And in doing that, I'm obviously going to pull the bindweed up. The bindweed really comes over from over here under this ceanothus, and even though it looks pretty ugly, I have to say it's less than previous years, which I guess is a good thing. Not many. Not particularly, well, not a great harvest, but I'm sure they'll be extremely tasty. But like so many things, you know, I do wonder, with the cost of things nowadays and the cost of buying seed potatoes and the cost of buying potatoes generally, of course these are organic, but you know, if you bought potatoes, what would that be there? £1? And this has taken up space here for 3 months, 2 plants, 3 months. Can't remember how large the seed potatoes were, but yeah. However, I'm sure they will be fabulously tasty this evening. When I strimmed yesterday, I clearly forgot to strim this area, which if I think I had done, I would have weeded these, which are now weeded, as you can see. The soil has got quite a lot of grit in it, so it's relatively easy to weed. And what I don't think I did say is that yesterday I did a harvest, did I say, of raspberries. So we've got autumn raspberries coming in the middle of summer. These are autumn fruiting raspberries, and they're fruiting rather early. And I've got another stupendous harvest to inform you about. So this is our 30-litre tub of compost and our gigantic harvest of a single potato. However, what I am pleased about as I look here is to see that our beetroot are germinating. You see here, row here. Oh, I just heard a fox cub here. Oh yeah, quite a few over there. Oh yeah, you can see over there maybe. So this is the beetroot we put in a short while ago. I did give it a water yesterday, but I'm glad to see that those are beginning to germinate. Fingers crossed for those. Over here we did have germination in our turnips. You can see some. I think these are some here. You see some there and there and there, but I think a good few have been eaten. Yeah, in terms of chard, I think that is chard coming up there and there, so the chard is beginning to germinate. Can't see any more along there, but yeah, definitely germinating, as is an awful lot of this over here, which is just weed. So maybe if I can grab 10 minutes I can do that. You can see how the wood's rotting down the side here, look. Yeah, need to think about this bed, definitely. And I've been thinking about this bed as well, which I'm just going to give a little weed to and a level off, and then we'll come back to it, because this is definitely going to be a herb bed, so it's going to become a perennial bed again. When I say again, it's going to become another perennial bed. Again means nothing because it's never been a perennial bed before. Anyway, let me just tidy it up a little bit and then we'll come back to it. As I began working on this bed, there was quite a lot of couch grass coming in from that side, and there was some bindweed in the middle. So I've given it all a shallow fork over, which of course has also disturbed any ants' nests that are in there. So hopefully they will get the message this time and move away. But where will they move to? I've popped the drinking station down there for the moment. I think this area here, it's just come to me now. I've been using it as a sort of bench area, and I think this is going to change next year. I've got a table. You remember this top metal frame here? I've got a table which I want to bring down here from home and use, which is quite a large metal table. I'll put a top on it so it doesn't rust too much. But yeah, I'm thinking that maybe this water station goes here. Mind you, if it goes there, no, it needs to go in the middle, because the apple tree will drop apples in it. So I'm going to leave it here for the moment. And I was looking online, I've seen people do marbles in wildlife drinking stations and stones and pebbles and things like that. And I was looking online, and I must admit I was thinking of buying some, and then I thought to myself as I was forking this over, why buy when you have them here already? So if we come down here, look at that stone. It's a bit of flint actually, that, look. That bit as well. Bit there. There, that bit. There. I've got hosts of stones already here that I can give a really good wash to and pop into this bowl. So I've picked these off the top of various beds here, given them a really good wash. Most of them are flint, and I'm going to pop them into there, and then we'll fill it up with water. Well, we won't completely fill it up because we want the pebbles to act as a platform for pollinators and bees and things to be able to land on and drink. I'm not sure if you can see Mr. Robin in there, but as if to prove a point that build it and they will come. When I came back, he was over there on the water station having a drink, and now he's in there. In terms of wildlife drinking station, the adage build it and they will come, I think is true, as it is for ponds. We were watching Gardener's World the other day, unusually because we don't normally watch it nowadays, and Monty was talking about ponds and Richard said no, it was actually somebody else who put a pond in their back garden of their new urban development of, I think, 2016, and they put a pond in their back garden, and sure enough, wildlife came, frogs and things like that. And Richard said to me, well, how do they find it? And I sort of said, well, they just do, you know, they gravitate towards it. And when they see it, they go, oh yeah, that'll do. Just like the robin with that drinking station. I mean, to be fair, he was watching me doing what I was doing. So I think he had a pretty good idea that there was water going into that drinking station. But certainly I went away, chatted to one of our paddock plot holders for a few minutes. When I came back, there he or she is drinking from the water station, standing on the rim. There we are. I have cleaned up our potatoes. There we are. I've given them a wash. I've harvested another Chioggia beetroot. There we are. We'll be having both of those this evening with red lentil burgers that I make. I made them last night. The recipe that I use, it makes 6. So we had 2 last night. We're going to have the same thing again this evening, and 2 will go into the freezer for another day. But yeah, that's it for this week's A Week at the Plot. It's again been a bit of a, I mean, every week of A Week at the Plot is different, and different things happen. I do different things, and very often I also do the same things, you know, weeding, strimming, sowing, planting, whinging, waffling. But yeah, it's been another eclectic week of A Week at the Plot. Next week I hope to be doing what I said I'd be doing yesterday, which is propagation of our Santolina in front here and a couple of other things. I will see you then for that. Whatever is happening in your garden, your growing space or your allotment, I hope you are getting pleasure from it, and from the pollinators that I hope have increased in number in your gardens in the last week. If you're in the northern hemisphere, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, maybe they're actually beginning to die off. I don't know. But whatever is happening, I hope you're enjoying it and taking moments of joy. Any comments, any questions, please do leave them down below, and I'll see you on Planet Vegetaria throughout next week for segments of A Week at the Plot, and of course in a week's time on YouTube for another full upload. See you then, and happy growing. Bye.